Hello and welcome to Baggies View. I'm Paul Bradley and I'm joined on the phone now by West Bromwich Albion correspondent Chris Lipkowski. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Well, we're going to be talking about that derby victory over Aston Villa. Let's start off with Shane Long's injury and what's happened there. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, he's out for up to 6 weeks, which is the worst case scenario. Really, he's got chipped bone and a bit of bruising around the knee. It's probably going to be about a month. They're hoping it'll be about that, but they're sort of bracing themselves for him being out for up to 6 weeks, which would take it up to about the second week of December. There's actually a little bit of relief, I think. It looked initially that it was going to be much worse. I saw him after the game and he really struggled when he walked to the coach. He could barely get on the coach, actually had to sort of hop onto it, if you like. And so I think there's a bit of relief, but obviously they could have done without the 6 weeks in the meantime. And of course it's a blow for Ireland too, because he's a key player for them and they have a key playoff match coming up.
What's the feeling at the club about Long's injury and also the tackle that brought about that injury? Well,
Roy Hodgson was very angry about it, with some justification, I have to say. And it's one of these quirky natures of football whereby if a referee sees an incident during the match, then the FA have no power to override the referee's decision. Had Phil Dowd turned around and said, look, I didn't see the incident, then the FA could have turned around, asked him to review the incident, and he could have then made a judgment based on TV evidence, which could then have led to an FA charge. So there's a feeling of injustice at Albion. They've lost a player for 6 weeks. Alan Hutton, obviously, although he got injured, he should have been sent off. And of course, the lad who was sent off, Chris Hurd, has probably correctly also been cleared of the red card he received, which I have to say just underlined really the inconsistencies of the refereeing that day.
And just put it into context for us as well, Chris, the back-to-back victories now for West Brom in derby games. How important were those wins? And do you see West Brom building from this now for that game against Liverpool?
Well, the wins were important anyway. The fact that they came against the two biggest games they'll play this season in context of the opposition made them all the more important, really, and valued and enjoyed, of course, by the fans. I mean, it's 32 years, I think, since they last won at Villa Park, and they obviously had a score to settle against Wolves following last season's game at Molineux. So they were key results, and there's a real vibrancy and positivity around Albion. I went to see Roy Hodgson yesterday, and he was very bright, very upbeat about everything, really. And he's got 1 or 2 injury problems, but even so, he's still confident, and that this squad that he's built up will carry Albion through. And they've got 2 games against Liverpool and Arsenal, which are very tough games on paper, but they go into the Liverpool game certainly with a lot of confidence. And we have to remember, of course, that Liverpool at home and Arsenal away were 2 games they took maximum points from last season.
And you mentioned a bit of injury difficulty for Roy Hodgson at the moment. Can you give us a bit more on that ahead of the Liverpool game? Well,
yeah, there's Gabriel Tamas is back and fit, although I suspect his role will be probably restricted to the substitutes bench this weekend. Paul Scharner has been struggling with a knee problem, which he sustained initially playing for Austria, but he was expected to resume training, or is expected to resume training tomorrow, as is Graham Dorrans. They should both be fit for the game, and Graham Torres has had a bit of bruising to his foot, which has kept him out of training for a couple of days, so he's expected to be fit as well. So there aren't really any major problems apart from that Shane Long injury.
And just very quickly before you go, Chris, you called it that you thought Albion would beat Villa at Villa Park. How do you see the Liverpool game going?
Well, I think they've certainly got the momentum to carry it on and get another win. I suspect the game will be a lot closer. Liverpool obviously got beaten at the Hawthorns last year, which again was one of those games we haven't seen for many, many years. It was Albion's first win over Liverpool for 30 years. So again, it was one of those historic results which we saw against Villa last week. In terms of Liverpool, they'll probably feel very hard done by that they didn't beat Norwich. With all due respect, if Liverpool have got ambitions and aspirations to finish in the top four, then they really need to be